What's up, guys and gals? My name is Splattercat, and back by popular demand, we are going to be playing today a bit more of Sir, You Are Being Hunted. And, you know, this was a game that I was going to let drop for a little bit, but it seemed like you guys were really into it. You had a lot of fun with it, so I'll see if we can do a few more episodes. And so where are we right now? What is the overall game plan? Well, we are back on the central island. I believe in the last couple episodes, we had been scoping out the different islands that were on every side of us, and we had found a bunch of relics on the eastern island, as I recall. You'll see here that I have them all in my bag before I came back over here because if I record while the game is switching islands, it crashes. It's just one of those funny little things that Alpha tends to do. Now, you'll notice from our inventory that we are actually in a pretty good position right now. We have loads of rounds for our pistol. We've got about 36, as I recall. We've also got, I think 6 rounds for the shotgun, so we should be okay there. But first things first, I think what I would like to do as we go through this play is let's spend our little bit of time here trying to clear out this central island. I think that's a pretty lofty goal. It's a big island compared to all the rest of them, but it should have a large kind of condensation, or it should have a pretty good amalgam of relics just kind of laying around. They should be all over the place. Let's make our way back to the Seeing Stones here first, though, to drop off the 3 relics that we have in our bag, and I'll take a look and see how the difficulty ramps up from there. The game does increase the amount of patrols and the amount of enemies as you turn in more and more of the relics, which means the game is bound to get at least partially. It's going to get at least an iota, maybe 2 iotas, maybe 3 or 4 iotas if you stack them. I don't know if iotas are stackable or if they're unquantifiable, but I'm willing to bet that the iotas that we are accumulating of trouble will be quite the bit worse as we turn in these 3. You'll remember from previous episodes as well. I'll give you a little bit of recap. It's been about, probably a week since I've played this game because I figured the series was over. I had moved on to Dawn of War and whatnot. But you guys gave me a pretty good public outcry. I was really surprised. I figured people would be like, yeah, it was a cool game, but we'll check back on it once the game's in full release. No. Nay. The denizens of the Nerd Castle have spoken, and being the shrewd politician that I am, I have decided to oblige by doing a few more episodes and seeing how far we can get. Now, as I'm blathering on here, just talking like crazy, we want to start being careful, as the robots do tend to convene around the central Seeing Stones. You can get yourself into a bit of trouble by not paying attention. I'd like to get low in some of this brush, and I know this island is pretty much looted for now, and now that we've got the... I can't tell if that's the robotic sounds coming from the blimp up there, or if there's a robot around us somewhere. But I believe I shall stay low for the time being, because this sir would prefer not to be hunted, at least for the time being. Well, I love that light effect. If you look over there, that light effect that they give the sun as it gets into dawn and dusk is simply fantastic. I love that little ray effect that they give it, that sort of borealis type deal. I don't even know if that's the proper name for the natural phenomena, but it looks good. It makes the world look vibrant. The thing I do like about the game is how colorful it is, irregardless of the dark theme of the game, which is you being hunted like an animal. I still very much like how the game includes color. The way that it tends to pop out with the reds and the pastel Easter type colors gives the game a very unique artistic direction, and I think that's very much going to play into the game's advantage when it tends to go retail, or when it intends to go retail. Our stones should be back over here. The circle on our compass, I think, designates where that was at. Stand up for just a moment here. Jump a fence. And there they are over there. I don't see any robots in our periphery, and I don't know how many relics are left on individual islands either. That's another interesting thing. Maybe when we get to the Seeing Stones, it'll tell us how many are here, and I'll be able to kind of do a quick inventory and figure out how much time we're going to be able... Oh, there's 2 robots over by the Seeing Stones. That's going to be something we're going to have to deal with. So we're down in the brush. We are invisible right now. Absolutely 100% invisible, actually. I do wish that the game had a third-person mode that I could pop into. Maybe that's just the inner cheater deep down inside of me, or the inner DayZ player that really, really, really wants to pop into third person right now and see if I can see over the brush. But I think we'll just go around the long way, maybe try and get... There they are. So they're over on the left. And I think they do have a dog with them. The problem with this brush here is that the dog is going to be able to sneak us... he's going to be able to sniff us out if we stay too close. Now, we are mildly within view distance right now. Hopefully I can get over the hill, really hoping the dog doesn't pick up our scent, because that's when things tend to get real. If they've got a dog running down on you, you're pretty much toast. It does sound like they're getting closer, unfortunately. Unless there's more of them out here, which is the other thing we might consider. I'm really hoping that there's none out in this little marsh. These little fens are the worst possible area you can get yourself bogged down, because your line of sight is so terrible, and the robots do tend to have kind of a supernatural ability to see you. I don't know, maybe if they have heat vision or something like that. I'm not going to nitpick the lore too much. I'm not going to get down and dirty trying to figure out why it is. It still sounds like they are really close. It's making me very uncomfortable. Oh, they are. You can see their little red eyes back there. So there's a couple of them out in that field. We need to get ourselves just over to the stones if we can. We're going to use the stones for cover if we get into a shootout right here. I would really, really prefer not to get into a fight right now. I don't want to expend any ammunition that doesn't have a point. And what I mean by having a point is that I really only want to expend ammunition trying to get to relics. If I can get behind the stone, I think we'll be okay. Alright, let's drop these things off.
Splendid. But do be careful finding the next one.
Alright, so we've got 5 left on this island. Let's see if we can track those down by the end of the episode. I don't really know how I have ramped up the difficulty here by turning these in, but we will find out. And maybe I should save. Let me save my progress really quickly. I've noticed sometimes the game doesn't... It says it saves whenever you turn those in, but on occasion, I've noticed that it's been a tad finicky. Now, seeing as we really can't walk freely anymore... I thought I just heard one. I'll apologize for getting so quiet all of a sudden, but I'd swear I just heard one that saw me. He made that little blinky blinky noise. Well, I know there's a relic piece off to the east near the eastern island, so I think that's where I'm going to head off to first. I saw the smoke earlier while I was kind of reacclimating myself with the controls of the game, making sure that I wouldn't make a fool of myself. And coming down over this hill... Let's jump the fence, and I want to be on this side of the fence, and we'll get down as low as possible, and we're just going to keep on moving. I think maintaining a trajectory in this game is really the important part, that it's very easy to overlook. I think that if you're holding down in the bushes just hiding as things walk by you, it's very difficult to get any sort of progress done in the game. However, as long as you're moving back towards an objective all the time, you should at least be taking a step in the right direction. Our vitality is looking a tad low. And we have some mints, so I think I'll eat the mints for now, just to give us a bit more vitality. We aren't wounded, so keeping our vitality really high isn't a... Did I just hear another... God, this game makes me so paranoid. Anyways, as I was saying, we're not wounded right now, so keeping our vitality absolutely peaked out isn't going to be a prime concern. You only want to have really high vitality... You only want to be using food, essentially, if your health is low, because your regeneration is curbed when your vitality is lower than, I believe, 50. But since we're not injured, it's not really something I'm going to task myself with. We do only have one bit of bandages left, so we might consider knocking over some of these houses, doing a bit of the old burglary, and seeing if we can get our hands on anything useful. Christ, where is that at? Well, I think he's got to be over in the town over here, and that's going to be one of the big guys. The big guys we absolutely 100% cannot exchange fire with. If we end up exchanging fire with the big guys, it's going to cost us a huge amount of ammunition. Please don't see me. He's looking right at us right now. Alright, so he's turned. Let's keep on moving. I'm going to keep him totally lined up. But as I said before, it took me, I believe, 8 rounds to take out one of the big guys before with just the pistol. And it's not an expenditure of ammunition that's worthwhile. That's just way too much of an investment for me to actually feel like we've done anything real. I believe the other bit that I was looking for was on the other side of this little hamlet. Yeah, there it is right there. You see that bit of smoke off in the distance? I apologize if the camera quality is not good enough for you to see that, but there it is right there. I'll give it to you on the binos so that you know roughly where we're working towards, so that we're all on the same page. It's tough sometimes when you LP to make sure that everybody knows... Oh, did he just see me? He stopped. Hey, buddy. He's got some awfully tiny eyes. For being a predator, Then again, they are affixed to the front side of his head, so that does mean that he's a predator. I've heard that anthropologically, I have an anthropology class this semester, which is why I'm saying this. I'm cleaning up my GE once I'm finishing my senior year right now. And GE classes, well, I'm not going to talk down to GE classes because there are some very challenging GE classes, but my anthropology class, they said something about the way your eyes are fixed on your head shows whether you were a hunter or a gatherer way back in the past. Supposedly, my eyes are just ridiculously close together in the front of my head, which makes me a hunter. But given my absurdly poor vision, I'd like to see how that plays into the whole thing. But then again, maybe my bad vision is a mutation, and maybe someday by like crossing my eyes all weird, I'll be able to crush people's skulls with psychic powers or something. A boy can dream. Someday I'll be an X-Man. I'm still holding out. One day I will wake up and have a genetic mutation, and I will be an X-Man, and it will rule. Just as long as I'm not Cyclops, though. I'm not a big fan of Cyclops. Not a Cyclops guy. Not really, well, I think I was always down with Gambit. Gambit just oozes cool. Does he still have the same outfit? I haven't read X-Men in such a long time that I just don't know. But if Gambit still has the same outfit, that's pretty awesome. But I bet they swapped him out right now. That old outfit he had with the pink and purple and the brown trench coat, not too stylish anymore. In the early 90s, that was peak kind of cyberpunk fashion of the industry type deal. But, alright, so there's two over there. Before I kind of get off on a wrong tangent, I'd like to quantify how many guys we're going to have to fight over here. I'd prefer to kill the guys that are only going to take a couple of shots. Okay, so they have a dog. 2 men and a dog. That's not so terrible. Let me get down low. They're actually turning towards my direction, which makes me nervous. I don't really know which vector of approach I want to choose here, but we are going to try and get in on that relic. Once we grab it, hopefully it's not one of the big ones. Size does indeed matter in this game, and sometimes you just don't have the inventory space to maintain such an enormous relic once you get going. I also don't have any bottles or alcohol or rocks, so we may be stuck with the direct approach here. I think I'm going to drink the tea really quickly. That'll put me back up to 100 vitality for the time being. If I can bait the dog back, kill the dog, and while the other two are coming after me, as much as I dislike injuring the pup, he's got to go. And plus, he's a robot. They don't have souls. It's fine. Once we get rid of him, though, we'll be on a better footing to engage with the masters. The Hound is the big problem, because as we try and disengage, he's going to keep that objective from occurring in any type of timely manner. Running away in this game does work all right. I wonder if I could take a shot from this deep and maybe take him out. Oh, no. That balloon is like right down on us. I didn't even see him coming. Well then. Let's figure out which direction he's going. We're absolutely going to have to wait till he blows over. Literally, he's got to go somewhere else. But it looks like there's another one down over here on the right, so maybe I'll go get that other one. I don't know if you guys caught that little wisp of smoke, but there is another one over there. I'm sorry, not on the right, on the left. I don't know my directions. I never went to kindergarten. There it is right there. We'll grab that one. We'll come back. It looks like that one's guarded a little bit too. If we can clear this one off, actually, this is a nice opportunity. And I shall explain to you why this is such a golden opportunity. If we can get this one cleared off, it'll give us time to kill them. And then number two is these guys might be drawn off by the gunfire. But the guys in town, namely that big guy, if he is far away, he's not going to hear the gunshots. I kind of lost my train of thought there. So if we can draw these guys into a gunfight over here in the rocks, we have better cover, and it avoids the nasty circumstance of possibly having that big guy join the fight before we're ready to deal with him. Oh, there's even more over here. There's another one way back there. Okay, so, well, that's 3 of our 5, I think it said. And 3 of our 5s, that's not going to be bad progress for the channel if I can pull this off. Let me take a look around, and I forgot to turn off my overlay. I apologize for that. It's just all day at this point. Back when the channel was new, I could leave it on, but nowadays, I'm starting to, there's enough of you guys here in the Nerd Castle that join me every day that the overlay, probably not the best thing to have on while recording. Oh, and there they are right there. They've seen me. We have been made. That's fine, though. I'm not too worried about that. There we go. We'll fire around, and hopefully oh, those guys are coming running too. So let's get a common front here. And hopefully we can win the gun battle here. Oh no. Well then, maybe time to vacate the premises. Let's get low on the hillside here, because the robots don't tend to follow you down here, but they might. You never know. And then we'll kind of just bail out right here. Maybe they'll lose us. Whew. There we go. I got him. There we go. That's one down. I don't think they can actually hit me right here. This might be a little bit of an... Oh, they can get me right here. Unfortunate. But not if I shoot them first. Let me see here. They seem to be doing the same things over and over again. Oh, and did I shoot the dog? I did shoot the dog. Hell yeah. Let's see. Maybe I can get a little bit lower. This is a gun battle for the ages. I don't even know how this thing's going to turn out. The other problem is that I might run out of ammunition here. And I've got to make sure I'm only taking the obvious shots now. So there's a few more down. Well, this worked out a little bit better than planned. Not like amazingly well, but it's still not a terrible plan. I have noticed in the past that if I run down into these rocks, the robots really don't seem to know what to do with them. I don't know if maybe later on they'll put in like naval combat, where there's like robots on skiffs or something that are going to come around and try and fight with you. Looks like we got a couple left over here. If he sticks his ugly little head out, I'm going to blow it off. But we may actually be completely and totally cut off here. I'm not positive how many more we're going to draw down on us. Please don't return fire right now. I don't want to get shot. Who does, though? Who's like, I would love to get shot. If you would shoot me, sir, you are being shot, would be the name of that game, and I don't think it would be nearly as pleasurable. That one's wounded. He's shooting off fizzles. And I don't hear any more interaction from our robot friends. So let's see if maybe we can work our way up the bank here. Busted gun. And a shotgun with 2 rounds. We're going to unload that. And if that was a little bit cheesy, I'm sorry, but we won. I mean, there's no cheesy when it comes down to winning or losing on that respect. We did go through all of our ammunition, but we should be pretty clear to grab the rest of this stuff. Hopefully these guys will give us a little bit of ammo to replace the expenditure that we had to go through. There's a little bit more. That one's got a fine piece of game. That is a temptation, but we do have to cook that, which makes it a bit of a problem. And there's that. Ah, some tea. Tea-drinking robots. Oddly enough, in the States we don't drink a ton of tea. People down in the South, actually, my old man, my dad is from Georgia, and his side of the family drinks loads of sweet tea. But beyond that, I don't think many people in the... Maybe I'm just an outlier. I don't drink tea very often. I'll drink tea with some lemon every now and again, but the actual hot tea, not a usual thing for me to consume. That one's a little bit of an outlier. Oh, it's a big one. Well, that is a little unfortunate, and I'll explain to you why. I was hoping we'd be able to get our hands on some of these relics in a clump, because I'm afraid that if I walk away, the bots are going to respawn and put us in a very, very unenviable spot. However, it looks like we have cleared everybody out. So maybe we'll try and see if there's any small ones around here. That's in another enormous fragment. Let's see if the one by the town over here with the big guy is a little bit smaller. I'd prefer to bring back as many as possible with me. It looks like we've got a pretty good garrison of bots down in that little town, meaning that our scavenging days are more than likely over. It's going to be very difficult for us to get our hands on any type of weaponry. And that exchange cost a lot more ammo than I expected. I thought we were going to only fight with 2 to 4 bots, and that's like 8 shots if I had really been able to aim very well. Instead, that turned into a very ammunition-consuming event. I'm going to check the phone box first. That's another thing you never see. You never see phone boxes anymore. People just don't have them. I'm going to eat those straight out of the phone box, and while I wouldn't recommend that in real life, found some mints in a phone box. I ate them. Tasted a little fishy. And I mean quite literally like fish. It's always a bad thing when your mint tastes like fish. That's got to be just... ugh. Let me see if this one's maybe a little bit smaller. Nope, they're all 3 enormous ones. So we're going to have to do a little bit of a courier mission here, which is weak. It is difficult, and we are going to have to live with it. Let's run this one back, and then we'll do, I guess, 2 more runs and try and grab those bigger ones on our way out. We've cleared out a lot of the robot resistance that we're going to see. I don't have any matches to cook that pheasant that the robot had back there. I do also wish that you could unload the broken guns. It's a little disappointing that you can't get like 1 bullet out of a broken gun. But, you know, you live with what... You don't want ammunition to be too prevalent. Like, I really understand what the developers are trying to do. You don't want ammunition to be too prevalent. And that's a problem that I think DayZ runs into. That's the obvious correlation that I'm drawing between the 2 games. You'll have to forgive me if you don't think this game is anything like DayZ. But it's a survival type game, first person shooter. You know, you're running around trying to find the things you need. So it's the closest thing that I can to explain it. But in DayZ, there's always that horrible moment where you just have too much stuff. Like, you and your friends have accumulated like 400 cars. You've got like thousands of rounds of ammo for the best guns in the game. You know how it goes. And then at that point, it's like, well, why bother except for like hunting noobs? And that's no fun either. Nobody likes to pick on a guy with just a Makarov. At least I don't. Some people get sadistic pleasure out of it, and I can understand that aspect of the game too. But then again, it's not really fun getting into shootouts with people with 50 cals either. No matter what you do. The fun videos, the ones that I really like of DayZ, just letting you into my type of... when I watch an LP of DayZ, I like the ones where people get creative, like they're like robbers in the forest and they don't actually kill anybody. They just like stick them up at gunpoint and take their stuff. I think that kind of stuff is hilarious because the people could fight back, but they're using psychology just to defeat somebody else. They make them feel overwhelmed, make them feel defeated, and then from there they're just like, well, here's all my amazing gear. I'm gonna walk away. One video I saw, the guy was really chill though. He robbed this dude, but he took all the guy's like military grade gear, but he gave the guy a pistol and a bunch of ammo afterwards. He told him that the pistol and the ammo were behind a tree nearby, and he was like, all right, so I'm going to keep aiming at you as I walk away here. I don't want to see you picking up that gun and trying to shoot me in the back, but, you know, I'm not going to leave you unarmed. And I thought that was a slightly honor among thieves situation. It was still a robbery, but at least it wasn't like a absolute travesty of being curb stomped, which is how that game turns out for me most of the time. That airfield in the Northwest is just the worst temptation ever for me. Every time I go out there, things don't go as planned. Then again, I always play on full servers too. I don't like playing on servers that have like 3 people. Alright, we've got some bots around, so I'm going to start taking it a little slower here. If I get blasted before we drop this off after all the trouble we went through. Oh, damn. There we go. He's got to go. I also want his ammo. And then we got to get out of here. Let's clear the location. Ooh. Feeling a little tense right now. That bot definitely hurt us, as did he. Luckily, I replaced all the ammo that I used, so 2 shots, and then I got 2 shots back. That's the best situation that you always want to hope for. Ooh, and we've got a fence here blocking my way. I don't really want to jump it. And we are invisible because of the dawn or the dusk or whatever time it is. We need to get away from this balloon. It's difficult for me to tell if I'm matching the balloon's trajectory. I think it's moving that way. I do think we're gaining ground on it. Alrighty then. Well, let's let him float on by. I know what I said earlier about maintaining the trajectory here, but this is one of those nasty little spots where I absolutely have to stop. Otherwise, those things right there will give you away like crazy. I am a little bit worried about my food situation. That's a concern that I've been thinking about as we've been going along. Let me eat some of these mints. How many rounds of shot are we up to now? The downside about shot is it takes up so much inventory space. Looks like we are up to 12 rounds of shot plus we're loaded, so 14 rounds. That's not bad considering the shotgun can one-shot some enemies. Alright, I'm going to get up off a knee here, and let's jump this thing, and we'll get back over to the stones. What I'll do is I'll run us back to the eastern border of the island, and we'll start the next episode out trying to clear out the remainder of the location. Maybe we'll hit that little village right there for anything we left behind in the past. I can almost guarantee we've picked that thing clean. But maybe that's what I'll do right now. It doesn't look like there's a whole lot of resistance over there. Might be worth considering.
Excellent. We're
And
making
there it is.
progress. You might survive this after
There's
all.
4 left on the island. Hopefully none of them are out in the marshes. If you end up with them out in the marshes, it can be a really, really tedious experience to find them because obviously the marshes are blocking off. Well, there's a little bit of resistance over there. Some bots in the woods. And swamps suck, by the way. I do want to emphasize that. I did a geologic survey in a swamp one time, and it was... I have a brand new respect for people that live out in the Everglades or people that live in the swamps of Louisiana or anywhere else, because swamp weather, that'll put some hair on your chest right there, irregardless of whether you're male or female. I only spent 2 or 3 days doing a survey out in a swamp, and I believe it was 95 degrees, but because of the water, it was an absurdly high amount of humidity, and it was rough. I think I was drinking 2 gallons of water a day. There were no trees out in the swamp. It was all just dead sun on the water. Ended up with a crazy sunburn. It was unpleasant. People that can survive in swampy climes are my hero because I sure can't do it. If they ever offered me another assignment that was out in the swamps, I would probably take it, but more or less because they'll fail me if I don't take it. But not out of choice. I prefer the Sylvan setting. I actually really enjoy the redwoods, being out in the forest, being able to get underneath a tree, maybe a little bit of snow. I do enjoy snowy temperatures. Well, I don't know who just saw us, but somebody... Oh, there's a break in the hedgerow right there. Let's get away from that because I bet they'll come around and try and look for us. I was hoping that village would be ready to go. There he is right there. We are invisible right now, so I'm not going to panic too much. Let's make our way back to the eastern bank. We'll grab those other 2 bits of roughage. Yeah, 2 little bits of roughage, those little bits of rubbish. And once we get those, we'll be down to 2 more pieces that we have to track down on the island. We'll spend the episode next finishing that off, and once we finish this island, maybe we'll go somewhere else and play around. Maybe on the island we got all of our ammunition from. I don't know. I don't really know which island I want to hit yet. I don't think we've been to... Well, I'll rewatch the videos, and I'll figure out which islands we've been to and which ones we haven't. I think we did the west and the east, or maybe the north and the east. I know for a fact we haven't been to all of them, though, so... There might be a bot around here. Before... This place is usually patrolled, but he tends to go out in the swamp and lose track of where he's at. Let's move quickly. I'm actually going to check the building for anything that might be useful. Broken bottle, yeah, let's eat some of these toadstools. I don't mind getting nice and stony since there's not a whole lot of threats around. I do want to use the bottle, though, as a diversion later on if I can. Wow, we are just high as hell. A dead rat. I'm sure we could eat that if we really needed to. Woo, I am wobbly. Experiences with psychedelics. Let's get on over here. If we keep this fence, breaking their line of sight, we should be alright. Let me take a look here from behind this fence at whether their position over next to the town has been reinforced. Since that is an easier... Well, it's the more difficult position, actually. Once we get the piece from there, it's going to be a lot easier for us to just ignore this entire area entirely. And I almost circled the screen right there. Forgot that I was in first-person mode. We could cook that pheasant right here, but I don't have any matches. I left my matches back on the previous island trying to carry all those relics over with me. I don't know if there's an individual standing stones on every island, too. If there was, it would make my life a bit easier. Then we wouldn't have to run back to the central location for every single relic that we pick up. Especially since they really seem to like having the big ones drop all the time. There are just big relics everywhere. I thought I heard somebody beep there for a moment. But maybe I'm wrong. Well, I don't know where our showdown was. It's got to be like over here somewhere. We would have been dead, though. If I hadn't used that rock trick, God, we would have been toast. I wasn't positive it would work, but I had a pretty good feeling that the robots wouldn't follow me down. Robots and water. You know how it goes. Robots, they don't strike me as being the best seaman. Oh, double entendre. Double entendre. There are certain words that have just absolutely ruined, like, people that are in the Navy, they no longer, like, call themselves seamen anymore. It's just, nope. It's off limits. I am now a naval officer, or a naval cadet, or a naval private, or whatever a private is called in the Navy. I don't know. Let's see if we can sneak back to the town from this end. But it's funny how like 20 years ago, there were words you could just use just as much as you want. Nowadays, the second you use them, everybody's like, oh, you made a funny. Like, yes, I made a funny. And it wasn't even a clever one. It was an easy funny. Alright, so there's another one. Very cool. So we should be able to... I'm going to cut around the other side of the island right here. We've got a couple minutes left. I'm going to see if I can cut around this way. Maybe we'll get eyes on with some of the other relics. If we get really lucky, they'll be along the edges of the island rather than near these town centers. We got ourselves into a nasty bit of an altercation right there, and I really don't want to do that again. I'd prefer to avoid it anyways. Looks like we got a couple patrolling the swamps down in there. But I'm going to run back to the boat. I can save at the boat over here. My name is Splattercat. Thank you for joining me in this next little 30-minute, I guess, segment. I lost track of my words there. This 30-minute segment, our episode number 4 of Sir, You're Being Hunted. I'll see you guys next time, and take care out there, everybody.